Hello, I'm Matt from rightclickplay.com and I just wanted to give you some of my opinions on the really important questions about video games today. So of course I went to Yahoo Answers because where else would you go for intelligent questions? And waded through questions like how do I make my Sims character not pee himself? And I found three fairly coherent questions at least that I can talk about, so let's do it. First one comes from John Ming. He says, problem with today's video games? What do you think the reasons are for problems for today's video games? These are his opinions. Number one, too easy. Games used to be very hard. Nowadays they've gotten so much easier to beat. Number two, focus too much on graphics. Nothing wrong with good graphics, but I would rather prefer good quality games with simple graphics. 3. Too focused on online gaming. Games used to be focused on single person, but nowadays they always seem to focus it on two-player modes. Number 4. Too realistic. Games don't need to be realistic, sometimes realism kills the fun. So your opinions seem to be focusing mainly on AAA titles. Let's run through them. So number one, they're too easy. Yes, games are easier than they used to be because games used to be for kids and teenagers, whereas now these kids and teenagers have grown up. So when they were young, they had plenty of time to play video games, and it didn't matter if they were hard because they had enough time to get good at them to eventually beat them. Now these kids and teenagers have grown up and got jobs and wives and pets and things, so they don't have as much time to play games, so the games need to be easier so that the people that are buying the games can play the games. So it's not necessarily a problem for games that they're getting easier, because they're still good, right? Like they're not worse games because they're easier. I'd rather play an easy game with, you know, a quality easy game than a mediocre hard game. So yeah, I don't think that's a problem. Number 2, you said they focus too much on graphics. Maybe, but you know, the real properly good quality games will focus on quality gameplay and the graphics, while there are countless indie games that are just great without having to rely on graphics. Like one of the games that I've played a lot of this year is 10 Million, which has like just about the most basic graphics you can be, just like 2D sprites. But the gameplay is so good that I kept playing it and eventually beat it. It didn't take that long to beat, but you know, you can keep playing it after you beat it. And then there are the games which have like the distinct art style. So I played Kentucky Route Zero, which is another great game from this year, which doesn't have good graphics, as in they're not photorealistic, but they're still really, you know, gorgeous graphics. So the games might be focusing more on graphics, but I think that's mainly the AAA titles which have the budgets to, and most of them have good gameplay anyway, so I don't think that matters too much. 3. Too focused on online gaming. Most games these days have to find longevity by implementing multiplayer that people are going to keep playing because of, you know, contracts with publishers and so on. But there are still games that you can find which have good single-player experiences that are only single-player games. Like look at The Walking Dead from Telltale Games. Last year won so many Game of the Year titles, including ours at Right Click Play. And that's just a single-player game. There's no multiplayer whatsoever. And look at BioShock Infinite is coming out next month. That's a game that they cut the multiplayer if they had any ambition for it in the first place. Maybe not. Maybe they cut it for time on the implementation cycle. But either way, that's a game that's going to be single player only, and I'm sure those guys are going to make a good game about it. Number 4, too realistic. I think realism in games is just a personal taste thing. Some people don't enjoy killing humans in first-person shooters because it seems too real, while others prefer their games to be something that could feasibly happen in real life. And then you have games which kind of have to be realistic, like driving games. Sure, you can have like an arcadey racer, but to get a proper driving experience, you're going to have realism, otherwise it's not a good driving experience. So I think that's just a personal taste thing. I don't think that's a problem either. For me, the only problem, if you can call it that, with video games is that the companies that make them are companies that they have to make money. So they're not always going to do the things that you like. But that's not something we can get away from, and that's how it's always been, and that's how it is with all forms of media. So the only thing you can do if you don't like the way that a company handles something is to stop buying their games, which might not make a difference really to them, but at least you can feel good about it. Maybe you're denying them some of your money at least, and maybe if enough people do it, they'll stop doing the bad thing that you don't like and do it better. Let's move on to question 2 from Samuel. Is Dota 2 dead or dying? The queue times are fairly huge, so I was just wondering, and also there is like no one playing in China. There's like no one playing in China. Okay, no, well, if you look at the Steam community stats, which I am right now, top games by current player count, current players, Dota 2 is at the top with 200,000 people currently playing Dota 2. Second is Team Fortress 2 with 35,000 people playing it. So by far and away, Dota 2 is the most popular multiplayer game on Steam right now. So I don't think it's dead. However, I don't think it will be ever as big as League of Legends, because you can't help but draw a comparison between the two games because they're the same game almost. And the reason that League of Legends is going to remain the bigger game is because I think Valve made some mistakes while Riot Games made some very good decisions. So Dota 2 has been in beta for a long time now and is still not out, despite them having two, they call them the international tournaments. They've had 2 of those now, one in August 2011, one in August last year, where the best teams in the world played against each other for huge prize pools. So you get all this publicity. People go, yes, I want to play Dota 2. Let me play. No, you have to pay to get into the beta. But of course now they've given out so many beta keys that really, if you want to play Dota 2, you can. So if everyone who wants to play Dota 2 is playing Dota 2, why is the game still not out? There's probably reasons, but the other reason is that Riot are just better at promoting the game to people who want to know about the game than others. Like if you look at the League of Legends homepage, once you log in, top left there's a spectate live button. You can watch ranked games whenever you like. You can just cycle through. There's a featured videos, the latest YouTube video from Riot Games in the bottom right, and then when there's a tournament going on, you can just it's right there on the page. It will link you straight to to the Twitch TV page or the YouTube page or whatever you want to watch it on. So Dota 2 is not dead, nor is it dying, but it's not going to beat League of Legends in my opinion. So, oh, and as for your like no one playing in China comment, maybe there isn't. Maybe it's something to do with the strict internet policies that China has. But then again, some of the best Dota 2 teams in the world are Chinese teams, as far as I'm aware. Invictus is a Chinese team, and they won the most recent international tournament. So I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Maybe you're playing at the wrong time. Maybe you need to find a different server to play on if you can. I don't know. Third question. Game hours go to waste? Says James. Playing a particular MMO game itself is already a waste of time. You spend hours getting up to a particular level in a game. Now, what if I don't want to play the game anymore? Meaning I want to delete my account. I've spent months getting to where I am now, and now I just want to erase it all. Should I? I know I'll never come back to the game if I do delete my account, but I don't want to play anymore. Also, take note that the game can only be a success by being active on it. So leaving it alone with the possibility to come back is not an option. But if you enjoyed your time playing the game, then I don't think it's time wasted. I spent 7 years playing World of Warcraft until I realised I was getting bored of it. And what I also realised towards the end was that the reason I was playing it for so long is because of the social aspect rather than the gameplay itself. And also I realised that the people that I actually cared about in the game I was now already friends with outside the game, so I didn't really need to play anymore. But that's not to say I regret my time playing it. Like if you've spent money on the game and you've spent lots of hours playing it and you've enjoyed those hours, then it's not a waste. You've got value for your money. What you're saying about should I delete my account? I don't see a reason why you should delete your account. You can always, you say you have to be playing the game to be a success at it, but I think if you take a break and then come back, you can catch up. Like I took about a year's break from World of Warcraft, and then I came back and caught up to a point where I could play with my friends again, but it wasn't quite the same, and I stopped playing shortly after. But still, you can get to a point if you enjoy the game enough, then you'll keep playing it. Otherwise, yeah, sure, stop playing it. I don't think you have to delete your account. Like you can stop paying for your subscription, and they won't delete your character for a while, so you can come back after a while and keep playing it. I assume. I don't know which game you're talking about, but I assume the company isn't like, if you leave now, you're not coming back. We delete all your stuff. Give us more money. So do what you like. If you, I would suggest taking a break, coming back to it. And if you don't like it, then stop playing it. Sure. Anyway, that's all the questions I have for today. Thanks for asking them. I hope you liked listening to my answers, and thanks for watching.